This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Wednesday morning, ready to rock and roll. Granville, North Dakota. Sage Hansen going to join us about a half hour about his commitment to play basketball at UND. We'll visit with him in just a little bit. We're trying, our energy level is still shock here from our last segment, so our next guest has certainly got to bring it. He does each and every time. It's been a busy summer for the Mattern family, and by the way, they get football going here at Shanley next week. Great to have Troy Mattern join us this morning. All right, the bar's set high. Mistro came in here and was rocking, so you got to deliver here this morning.
Well, I'm not a big Red Bull drinker or power drinks, but I don't think I can ever get to Mistro's level. I've tried to match that for years, and I'm not even going to try. So you're going to get who I am, Dom.
I knew that. First off, I should have introduced a soccer dad because you were traveling the country with your daughter who was on the Dakota Fusion down in Tampa a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was incredible for Eiley, incredible for our family. I think I now have an understanding of what offsides is. My first daughter played soccer for 4 years. Eiley's been playing forever, and I think I now understand that. I'm still kind of questionable on what fouls are.
Yeah.
Decide to call what foul, but yeah, it was very exciting for that team, obviously, to win a national championship and just to continue to win and win and win and overcome tons of adversity, and it was pretty cool. And obviously for the kids to have to see their emotions, and yeah, it was pretty cool for that whole group.
That had to be just a brand new experience. You've done football, obviously. You've done all the other sports. What was different about this one to experience?
You know what? And I tell this to everyone, being a dad is so much harder than being a coach just because you don't have input on what's going on. I was more nervous for those games than I've ever been for Dakota Bowl. I mean, it's crazy because you want so much for your kids. You want them to succeed. You want them to reach their goals. And every dad and mom want that. So that was me. And yeah, I was a mess. So I'm excited to get back to football where I actually have some control in the outcome of the game, good or bad, right?
Yeah, there's no right, exactly. That's fantastic. And the big news in the Mattern family obviously continued late last week because your son Jackson announced he's going to go play for Concordia. So the Mattern lineage will continue with the Cobbers. How did this all come about?
Yeah, well, obviously he spent the last 3 years in the program, going to games, being around Coop, being around the staff, being around the players, and you at some point you just know when you know. And I think Jax felt that his big thing is he just wanted to enjoy his senior year. You know, there's a lot of athletes that just want to get it out of the way and focus on just being a senior, enjoying your football season. And I think Jax was there. And I think just, you know, we went to the 7-on-7 tournament there at Concordia, and I think just being around that atmosphere again, and I think he just felt at home. And there's so, you know, Jack's a quarterback, and just the recruiting of quarterbacks nowadays with all the portal stuff and quarterbacks, really all players, but quarterbacks specifically moving around program to program. You know, what is the best opportunity for him to get developed and get an opportunity to play? And he felt being in the MIAC and Concordia was the best option for him.
Did Haran promise he could throw it 35 times a game like Cooper did?
Well, you better. You know, otherwise, we're not signing up. And it's actually a lot with Coach Pollock. We talk a lot with Coach Pollock, and you know, we have some philosophy differences on scheme and whatnot. But it's a good fit for him. Obviously, with Concordia changing their scheme a couple years ago, it does fit in directly to what we do at Shanley. So the transition should be seamless. And you know, and obviously seeing Coop do it for the last 3 years. You know, Jax just wants to be able to emulate what his big brother did.
How much did Big Bro talk to Little Bro about that? Did he let him do his own thing, or was there a lot of interaction for what you knew or saw?
Yeah, I think they got a truly special bond, not only as brothers but as quarterbacks. And I think Coop did definitely have some influence. But I think it was just the experience that we saw in Coop. You know, Coop grew up at Concordia, and I think Jack saw that firsthand. And obviously he saw the success that Coop had at that level as well, and just the camaraderie and the brotherhood. You know, a lot of Cooper's roommates and teammates would come over to our house. We'd feed them, and I think Jax got to see that as well. And he just loves that camaraderie, and to be able to stay in the Metro, I think is a big part of it too. To be able to have family and a support group, watch him play, and you know, like I said, it's just a good fit at this time for Jax.
I think I can speak for everybody in big school North Dakota that nobody was upset that Shanley struggled last year. You get that sense that, hey, we were a little retribution or revenge tour in 2025?
No question. That started right after that last football game, and probably more importantly, from the outside, yeah, that was important. But to our kids, that was the most important thing that, because those kids got to live two totally different seasons.
Yeah.
And I give a ton of credit to our senior class. They stepped up this offseason. We're putting up numbers in the weight room. Speed, leadership is probably the biggest thing we've seen. So credit to our kids. I'm really excited to get started next Thursday just because of what we've seen in the walls of Shanley, of what's transformed over the last 9 months. Because these kids, they don't, the standard is the standard at Shanley, and
Yep.
they live up to that, and they believe in it, and they know there's expectations that are in our program, and they want to make sure that they do right. And I think they've definitely put in the time to put us in a successful situation.
How tough was that for you personally? All you know is having successful winning seasons. What was challenging or what you learned as a coach last year?
Yeah, it was difficult for a variety of reasons. Obviously, winning football games is, we've been very successful winning a lot of games. But I think the biggest thing that I struggle with is we actually probably the first time in a long time, if ever, we had some division within our program,
Mm,
and that kills programs. Everybody knows that if you're going to have wins or losses, you just want your team to stay connected. I tell our parents all the time, it's more about the wins and losses. It's the experience, right? We get 4 years with these kids. We want the experience to be second to none. We want it to be the Disneyland of high school football. And I don't think our kids got to experience
mm,
Deacon football, and that was probably the most heartbreaking thing for me. So it's my job as a head coach is to fix that or direct it. And we're doing some things this offseason to make sure that that team camaraderie, eliminate the division, because at the end of the day, we're a brotherhood. They got to do it together. The wins and losses got to come together. But when there's finger pointing and
yeah.
things going on in your program, you're never going to win, especially on the scoreboard, but you're not going to win in the experience either. So that's been our big message this offseason.
Is that something you saw, you heard? How did you get aware of that? Was it obvious? It was right in front of your
Yeah,
face.
to both, but I think you obviously feel it too. We come from a pretty rich tradition of high school football, and the expectations are very high for Shanley
Yeah.
football. And obviously, now that we're at the bigger class too, the expectation is coming off two Dakota Bowls. They think that's the standard
Yeah.
now, right? So and we've been in half the Dakota Bowls since I've been at Shanley, so that is our expectation now. So when you fall short of that, you know people are going to be a little frustrated. The players are frustrated. All the stakeholders get frustrated. And for me, that's really cool. That's exciting because the program is where we expect it to
Yeah.
be. So when we do have those type of seasons, that makes us feel proud. But you can't make it the norm now, right? So we have a huge season in front of us, and we got the scheduling gods. Then with this new rotation, they gave us Bismarck Century, Mandan, Bismarck High, and Minot out of the gate. So you p there's no poor Shanley with the
No.
scheduling people. So, it's time to get to work. And if you would have said that 5, 6, 7 years ago, that's gonna be our non-conference schedule. Um, can we stay at Double A, please?
Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you saying that, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I know.
But having that, I mean, is that how much of is that gonna be a tester? Say you're gonna know what your football team is by the time EDC play comes around.
100%. And
Yeah.
that's what we want. Like I always say, our vision every year is to be in the conversation when you talk AAA football, we want Shanley to be
Yeah.
mentioned. And how do you figure out if you're mentioned or not? You play the best of the best, and that's what we love to do. And the whole league, even the EDC across the state, it's going to be a pretty balanced schedule. So we're excited to get going and really see, like I said, what is the growth we made from last year to this year? Did we fix what we needed to fix to get back to the standard of Shanley football? So really, that's my biggest excitement going into next Thursday is to see, all right, we're here. Let's go perform now.
With Horace into the mix, Troy, how much does that change things now?
It's obviously wonderful because it's one more game in our metro, so we only
Yep.
have to leave Fargo twice. So we're getting closer to where we were back in the past. Even 3, 4 years ago, we were out west 3, 4
Oh,
times. There was one season, if you had a subversity player, a parent went to Bismarck area 7 times in
holy
the fall.
cow. Man.
So we've eliminated that. We're getting smarter as we go. But yeah, Horace is ready. Obviously, the success they had last year, Harvey does a great job there, and we're excited that they're up. And again, for us, it's a conference game.
Yeah.
It's an in-town game. It's a rival game. Both fan bases get to come out and enjoy it. So we're excited that they're on our schedule now.
To see, you've lived it now, the level of football in the city, just Fargo proper, West Fargo as well, I'll throw in there. What's the biggest difference maybe from 10 years ago to where we're at right now?
Uh, Bigger, faster, stronger. And that's across the board. Football in general, it's become a bigger, faster, stronger game. And I think the coaching staffs have gotten so innovative. Some people have went back to the old school way. Coach Wehrmeyer brought back
Yes.
the 40s and the 50s, and there's many like us. We're no temple spread,
Yep.
so just the variety of football has changed. There are no you can't just go into a game. You got to prepare. Everybody's so different, and that's what makes it fun. Is just the uniqueness of all the different coaching staffs. And there's some that are so traditionalist. It's fun to see. We open up, like I said, with Century. Coach Wingenbach, I was talking to him yesterday. This is his 42nd season. We know what we're going to get with them,
Yep.
and it's just the history of all the great coaches that have been a part of North Dakota football, and the talent level. I think probably the talent level used to be there in the past, but now that the exposure these kids are getting on a national scale,
Yeah.
it used to be that all the great kids were going to NDSU or UND, but now, the nationals have started to figure out,
Yep.
man, there's some pretty good talent in our state. We need to dig into it because NDSU, UND have done it right. So maybe we should look at some of these kids. And I think they're finding out quickly that there's a lot of talent in our state.
How often you now getting, contacted by FBS coaches, Power 4 coaches about guys, or your film came up? Like Emmett obviously blew up a few years ago and now is obviously at Stanford and was on your own team. But has that crossover happened where you're getting calls from other Power 4 coaches now?
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
They're on our recruiting trail now. So every spring, every time they're getting on their recruiting trail, we're part of their email chain, their text chain. They're giving us calls. So it's really cool. It's really expanded to those people, and it's really cool for those staffs. You're talking the best of the best looking into North Dakota and asking about kids in our neck of the woods. It's really cool.
I got an email here to ask you on this, and this is out of your jurisdiction, but I'll ask anyway. Ask Troy what he thinks about Castleton and Kindred moving up, because now they're moving into the 2A class starting this year.
Yeah, and I talked with a couple of their coaches. Obviously, Tommy Butler was on my staff, and it's right. At the end of the day, the coaching staffs, the players, we work so extremely hard to get these kids ready and to get the coaches ready. You want to be competitive. You want to play 9 competitive football
Yeah.
games, and in order to do that, sometimes you get too big for where you're at, and you got to move up, and you got to take the challenge. You might not have the success that you've had at the prior level, but you want your kids to be in a 4-quarter football game because they've worked so hard to get to that point. Let's put them in a situation where they can utilize all the time that they put in to get bigger, faster, and stronger. So I think both Kindred and Castleton will be ready. I mean, they're football rich programs. They've had success. Those kids understand what success looked like. So I think it's a good move for both programs.
Yeah, that's what you just said there. We could put as just a blueprint for teams to move up. That's what because I know there are games that you coach where how often were your starters even playing in the third quarter some years?
Yeah, exactly. There were many times we had them out at halftime.
Yeah.
And there's times when our practice would be more competitive than
Yeah.
our game, and that's not right for kids.
No.
And it just makes it really changes the mindset of what you have to do as a program, and that's what we're doing. We're setting our kids up for life. Life is hard. Nothing's going to be handed to you. You got to work hard each and every day, and that's what we expect our kids to do in the weight room, on the football field, in the classroom. Because when you step outside of Shanley High School, when you step outside of college, each and every day is the grind, and you got to be ready for it. And that's the ultimate goal of high school football as a coach, is you're trying to set these kids up to be successful in life.
Has Feeney told you about the whining coming from the Twin City schools coming to Moorhead yet?
Well, I'm listening more of Kevin and what his schedule looks like in September. He's saying some pretty big blue bloods of Minnesota football.
Yes.
He's hoping he has a roster left after September, but I think Kevin will be just fine. He's got a lot of talent. We get together a lot in the summer
Yeah.
through team camps and 7-on-7, and obviously we still have a pretty good connection coaching so many years together. And yeah, it's a very unique opportunity for his football program to be able to play. The top 10 teams. Literally, his schedule is
Yeah.
you pick the top 10 in Minnesota and just put them into Moorhead. But I'm sure, yeah, those Metro teams have never had to leave. Within a half hour of the Metro. Now,
Correct.
we got to go 4 hours west. It'll be interesting. So, and I think for Kevin, the biggest thing is just figuring out the sub varsity stuff.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked about. So you were that spurred that when you were mentioning what your sub varsity did. Obviously, Kevin mentioned that on the show when he was on with us a couple months ago. Speaking of that, off the top of your head, because we're near 20 years now. Gosh, I'm old. Of that 2006 Fargo South team, you have a story or just one that pops out about how special that '06 South team was?
Yeah. Well, Coach Vaddy, he's our O-line coach. He's been with me since 2010. He was on that team. But I just remember the practices. We always joke that we think our twos would have probably won the EDC too.
Yeah.
But there were literally fist fights and wrestling. I mean, those kids had to fight so hard to even get on the field on game day, but getting after it in practice, it was unbelievable. And I think another just memories is the coaching staff we had there.
Oh,
There's so many coaches now that are head coaches across the region.
yeah.
It's you don't realize at the time how special of a group you're with until you kind of do split up. But the great human beings that I got to learn from that mentored me to be who I am today. It's a true reflection of that group from really about '04 to '09. It was an incredible run with an incredible amount of talent, but a great group of guys that were leading that program
I
too.
think you and I
It
counted.
started
Was it like 6 or 7 now head coaches that are on the staff? Something crazy like that.
Yeah, I think we got at one point there were 8 off that staff that
Man.
became head coaches at some pretty good
Yeah.
programs too.
Yep.
So it was yeah, great group of guys.
Last thing before we go, you've been on attack on social media from one Mike Zier again. How's that gone this week with the coaches convention in town?
You know what? I'm probably one of the proudest guys because yesterday when I spoke, Mike Zier introduced me.
Oh,
You know, so
wow.
you've arrived when you get introed by the Mike Zier.
Wow.
And then of course I'm talking about spread football. And I always joke with Mike that we throw more in one possession than he has in one season.
No
So
doubt.
I don't think he was really listening to my presentation because we might not be on the same wavelengths in terms of scheme. But Mike does that whole group, and I'd like to give a little shout out to our coaches association because they do such a phenomenal job, you know, getting our coaches ready for the season, but getting the convention together and getting good speakers and connecting our coaches. And we just got to continue to get more coaches involved, especially our young coaches, because it's a great avenue for all of us coaches just to get
Yeah.
together and learn from each other.
Does he bring up the Beach Shanley football score? I'm assuming he did that, correct?
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah. Mike Zier brings up a lot
From
when
80, yes, correct, from like 80
yeah,
years ago.
and then obviously he's a big Mayville State guy, and they
Yep.
opened with Concordia this year, so that will be a good opportunity for us to jab each other
Under
too.
the lights too, which is going to be pretty cool. It's
Yeah,
going to be a night
that'll be
game
really cool.
over
Yeah.
over in Moorhead. It's great to see you, bud. Congrats on a big summer for your family. That's been awesome, and look forward to catching up when the season gets going. Good luck next week when you get back out there. Okay.
All right, Dom. We always appreciate it. Take care.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Troy Mattern joining us, Shanley head football coach. The Deacons open fall camp next week. Congrats to his youngest son, Jackson, on him committing to go play football over at Concordia. Continuing the legacy there with Cooper Mattern having quarterback the Cobs for the last 3 years. Good stuff. We're over to for a break. We caught up. We got a few emails to get to. Some trades are going down in baseball. We'll get you all updated on that. Hot Mic rolls on this Wednesday morning. We're back after this on WDAY Extra and streaming online at Inforum.com.